Hello, hello, truth seekers all over the world, brothers and sisters of the Most High. I'm Matthew Beavers from BackToTheCovenant.com, and I have a special guest, my lovely bride,
Candace
Candace.
Beavers.
So I have her on this video. Thought this would be a really cool video. Share a story that affected her more than me, but affected both of us. Very cool story. Hope you are blessed by it, but we're going to share that at the end. We're going to share some scriptures, but do me a favor, if you want to catch our future teachings, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit the bell, bing! Like the video, comment, and share it. Really appreciate that. So the name of this teaching is going to be Great Things Happen When You Let Go. And the Yellow Jackets are still active. So we're going to read some scriptures, and then Candace is going to share a cool story.
That's so cool.
And in the beginning, but had a great ending.
Yeah.
So first we're going to read a chapter that's, let's see, most of the chapter, I believe. I think most of it. Most people are familiar with. I'm going to emphasize some of the aspects of it. And that is the Red Sea crossing. All right, we got a guest appearance by Tux. There he is. He's in there. All right, so we're going to go to Exodus chapter 14 and read a good piece, starting in verse 1. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they turn and camp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, opposite Baal Zephon, camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh shall say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, the wilderness has closed them in. So they're having a rough time. I apologize for the lighting if it's troublesome to some. We spent probably 30 minutes trying to fix it before we got on here.
Yeah.
Oh well, it is what it is. Let's see. And it was reported to the sovereign of Mitzrayim that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. And they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made his chariot ready and took his people with him. And he took 600 choice chariots and all the chariots of Mitzrayim with officers over all of them. So they were coming to get the Israelites. And Yahweh strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. So I guess I want to stop and address something that has to do with nowadays. So you can see from this chapter and many other stories and chapters in Scripture that the Most High can use evil men and women to do His will, even if it is rough on His people. Fast forward to 2020. We're at the end of 2020. There's a lot of stuff going on in this world, and there's a lot of evil men and women, especially men in this world, that are planning some messed up stuff for the population of the planet. And I've heard people say, well, I'll just go ahead and say one of the names, Bill Gates and other people. I hate them. I don't hate them personally. I know they're doing their part in the overall plan. And if all this stuff comes down the pipe, mandatory vaccines, we end up in a cashless society, we can't go to the store without showing a little app on our phone to buy or sell. If all that comes to pass, and all these evil people get their way, they're still going to get theirs in the end. You reap what you sow. Doesn't matter who you are. So, let me get off of that speech or whatever. Side trail. Rabbit trail, there you go. So don't hate these evil people. They're doing their part. All right. We got Lila walking in the background. Get all the animals in the video. Verse 8. And Yahweh strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and he pursued the children of Israel, but the children of Israel went out defiantly. And this is what we should be doing too. We should be defiant when it comes to all this stuff they're trying to push on us. Mandatory, fill in the blank.
That's a good
I mean,
way
there's
to put
so
it.
many things you could put in that blank. Mandatory masks. Mandatory vaccinations. It's not here yet, but it's coming. Wake up, people. Mandatory lockdowns.
Temperature checks.
Mandatory temperature lockdowns, but mandatory whatever. You need to be defiant of all this stuff. You have rights that the Most High is giving you. Don't let people steal your rights. Don't submit to all that. I'm not telling you to be super defiant of the government, but when it comes down to all this stuff that just goes against your rights and obliterates your rights, don't do it. I didn't see me saying all this, but here we are. Verse 9. And the Mitzrites, or the Egyptians, pursued them and all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, his army, and overtook them, camping by the sea beside Pi-Hahiroth. So fun to say every time. Hahiroth. That's how you say it.
Pi-Hahiroth.
Ah, got the in there.
Okay.
Before Baal-Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes and saw the Mitzrites coming up after them. And they were greatly afraid, so the children of Israel cried out to Yahweh. And they said to Moshe, did you take us away? Oh, wait, let me say it differently. Did you take us away to die in the wilderness because there are no burial sites in Mitzrayim?
Oh, no.
What is this you have done to us to bring us up out of Mitzrayim? So basically, they're like, how dare you give us freedom? We're having a couple rough days. Take us back to that slavery.
It is interesting, if I may interject.
No.
I wasn't quite sure what you were going to be reading or discussing on this, but I wanted to interject at this point because it's funny. You know, Yahweh, he brought the children out of Mitzrayim with the strong might and an outstretched arm, and when he took them out of luxuries. He took them out of all these conveniences.
I don't know if they had luxuries. They were in slavery. I mean, they were eating.
I mean,
they had
luxuries as far as
they had 3 hots in a cot. So they say.
We weren't there. We don't know exactly what they had, but they clearly had things and conveniences, what we might not consider luxuries today, but maybe they did. And even though they were slaves to, Pharaoh's system, his government, if you will, they were comfortable. They were comfortable there. And sometimes we become comfortable in enslavement, whether that's in the physical or in our minds and the spiritual. And so fast forward, the children come out of Mitzrayim or Egypt, and they are like, why did you take us out? Because they had to depend on the Father.
I'm about to read that in the next verse.
As opposed to, they had to depend on Abba, as opposed to depending on what they've been used to all this time. And so they didn't have all those things and stuff and everything that they were used to. They were used to being in slavery and bondage, and he brought them out of it with his outstretched arm, his yod.
Let's get to that.
And I guess that's all I wanted to say there is now.
You're kind of getting a little ahead.
Now they're complaining because they got to do things by his might and his power and not Pharaoh's.
So, continue on in verse 12. Is this not the word, let's see, okay, right, that we spoke to you in Mitzrayim, saying, leave us alone and let us serve the Mitzrites, for it would have been better for us to serve, serve the Mitzrites than to die in the wilderness.
So they had to depend on him to help them, live out in the wilderness, as opposed to depending on the government.
Guess what, folks? So we're reading the first Exodus here. There's going to be a second Exodus. We need to be ready for that.
Amen.
Verse 13. And Moshe said to the people, do not be afraid. Here we go. Here's the stuff I really wanted to dive deep on, or put a huge emphasis on. Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the deliverance of Yahweh, which he does for you today. Including anybody that hear our voices or seeing this video in 2020 or beyond. For the Mitzrites whom you see today, you are never, never to see again. Here's a really cool verse. Verse 14. Yahweh does fight for you, and you keep silent. Be quiet. Let him do his thing. Yahweh does fight for you, and you keep silent.
Wait for the deliverance of
Verse 15. And Yahweh said to Moshe, why do you cry to me? Speak to the children of Israel, and let them go forward. And you lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And let the children of Israel go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I am strengthening the hearts of the Mitzrites, and they shall follow them, and I am to be esteemed through Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the Mitzrites shall know that I am Yahweh, when I am esteemed through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the messenger of Elohim, who went before the camp of Yisrael, moved and went behind them, and the column of cloud went from before them and stood behind them, and came between the camp of the Mitzrites and the camp of Yisrael, and it was the cloud and the darkness, and it gave light by night, and the one did not come near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry ground. It's amazing. Try to picture that. I've tried to visualize it in my mind. It's crazy. And the waters were a wall to them on the right and on the left. And the Mitzrites pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, and all the horses of Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to be in the morning watch that Yahweh would look down upon the army of the Mitzrites through the column of fire and cloud, and he brought the army of the Mitzrites into confusion. And he took, you don't think he can do that to the evil people of this world currently? Come on, people. Wake up, have belief, walk in faith. And he took off their chariot wheels so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Mitzrites said, let us flee. Now these are the Egyptians talking. You ready? Let us flee from the face of Yisrael, for Yahweh fights for them against the Mitzrites. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, stretch out your hand over the sea and let the waters come back upon the Mitzrites on their chariots and on their horsemen. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its usual flow at the break of day, with the Mitzrites fleeing into it. Thus Yahweh overthrew the Mitzrites in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them, and not even one of them was left of them. And the children of Israel walked on dry ground in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right and on their left. Thus Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Mitzrites, and Israel saw the Mitzrites dead on the seashore. So there's so much you could talk about with that chapter, but something I want to hit on is letting go. This video is talking about letting go. Letting go is trusting in the Father. You can't let go if you don't trust Him.
That's true. So
let's look at a story in the Torah where people are not trusting. Of course, were they really trusting in Exodus right there? In Exodus chapter 1?
Doesn't sound like it.
So let's see ancient Israel being ancient Israel.
I'm sure some of them were.
There's always some. So we're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 19 through 33. Then we set out from Horeb and went through all that great and awesome wilderness, which you saw on the way to the mountains of the Amorites, as Yahweh our Elohim had commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said to you, you have come to the mountains of the Amorites, which Yahweh our Elohim is giving you. See, Yahweh your Elohim has set the land before you. Go up and possess it. He's saying, go up and take it. It's yours. That's what they did. As Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has spoken to you, do not fear nor be discouraged. There it is again. Do not be afraid. Do not fear. And all of you came near to me and said, let us send men before us, and let them search out the land for us, and bring back word to us of the way by which we should go up, and of the cities into which we would come. And the matter was good in my eyes, so I took 12 of your men, one man from each tribe, and they turned and went up into the mountains and came to the Wadi Eshcol and spied it out. And they took some of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it down to us, and they brought back word to us, saying, the land which our Elohim is giving us is good. But you will not go up and rebel against the mouth of Yahweh your Elohim. They didn't do what they were told to do.
Listen.
And grumbled in your tents and said, because Yahweh was hating us, he brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim to give us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us. Sounds very familiar to what we just read in Exodus 14. Where are we going to? Our brothers have made our hearts melt, saying, the people are greater and taller than we. Now, it's easy for us to sit here and read this, say, oh, they're not walking in faith, and we're not looking at somebody that's, 20, 30 foot tall. So there is that, but they still didn't do what the Father said to do, regardless of the size of the men they were looking at.
They were looking at the physical rather than...
The people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to the heavens, and we saw the sons of the Anakim there too. So there you go. There's the big boys, if you will. Then I said to you, have no dread or fear of them. Again, don't fear. Don't be afraid. Yahweh Elohim, who is going before you, he does fight for you. There's similar language we just read. He does fight for you. He does fight for you, brothers and sisters. According to all he did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes, and in the wilderness where you saw how your Yahweh your Elohim has borne you as a man bears his son in all the way that you went until you came to this place. Yet in this matter you are putting no trust in Yahweh your Elohim. Who is going before you in the way to seek out a place for you to pitch your tents, to show you the way you should go in fire by night and in cloud by day. Let me read 32 again. Yet in this matter you are putting no trust in Yahweh your Elohim. Are you putting trust in the Most High right now in your life? I know I'm praying for assistance personally for him to continue to help me to build my trust in him. So speaking of that, we're going to go to my favorite verse in all the scripture. Where are we going?
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart and lean. You know what? Quote it. Go ahead. You don't have to look at it. I'll make sure you're doing it word for word. Go.
Trust in Yahweh with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Know him in all your ways, and he makes your path straight.
Oh, your path straight.
All your tzad.
All right, Psalms 62. Let's see where we're at. Verses 7 and 8. My deliverance and my esteem depend on Elohim, the rock of my strength. My refuge is in Elohim. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. Elohim is a refuge for us. Let me read that first sentence again. Trust in him at all times, you people. That one's tough. Let me tell you, though, with what's coming on, what's going to be happening soon in the future, you need to be trusting in Abba.
It starts
You
up
need
here.
to be praying for him to help you to trust in him.
Trust has to go with what is your mind focusing on, and are you putting your trust in all these things and stuff, the government, this, that, and the other all around you? Or even trusting in all your preparations, whatever that consists of, preparing for the future, whatever capacity that is for you.
Yeah, you can prep all you want to and have a year's worth of food, guns and ammo, water, all that stuff. But if you don't trust in the Father, that's meaningless.
Yeah, it's, there's a physical as well as a spiritual preparation, and we need to be more spiritually prepared in our minds, in our heart, for what is to come. That's what we need to prepare for first and foremost. Everything else comes second.
All right, I got one more verse of scripture, and Candace is going to share the cool story of where I got the title for this
It's not
video.
a cool story. It didn't start out cool.
No, it was not cool at all.
It was no cool to so cool.
To like, what? It's like,
to
what?
It would be great if that so cool thing showed up at any moment.
Yeah. The other two are here.
I know.
All right, so the last verse about trusting is Jeremiah 17:7. If you don't know this one, you should definitely meditate, marinate on it, get it in your spirit. Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh and whose trust is Yahweh. So awesome, I got to read the second time. It's so nice, got to say it twice. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh and whose trust is Yahweh. Now I'm going to let Candace take the mic, so to speak.
Oh my gosh.
And share the cool story of where this video topic came from. Great things happen when you let go.
So, that phrase letting go has resonated in our minds this year in multiple different capacities. But the one that I'm going to share with y'all today has to do with a personal major trial for me that, as Matt said in the beginning, affected him as well.
Not as much. But some.
There's a lot of things in this world, y'all, that we have a hard time letting go of. Whether that's the traditions that we hold fast to, or just anything in this physical world, because this world is not going to be here. When you die, you can't take anything with you in the physical, but you can take your relationship that you have with the Father with you, and that's it. So, I have a love for animals.
Let me pipe in there. An extreme love for animals.
And I was going to say an extreme love for animals. I love that Abba Yahweh, he has created these creatures. Nefesh means life. He has created these creatures to give us comfort, and when you have such a heart for animals, when something happens to them,
specifically your own,
it maybe for some more than others, it basically feels like a knife has been stabbed through your heart. And I don't know how many people can relate to that, but for myself, I do have very much a love for animals, especially my own. And when they go astray, like, I'm reminded of the scripture of Yeshua. And when he, maybe you can help me out with this, I'm paraphrasing. When Yeshua said, "Do I not go after the one sheep, but leave the other 99 with the shepherd?" Of course, he goes after the lost one. So recently, a little over a month ago, our cat Maximus.
We have 2 cats and 1 dog.
Yeah.
FYI.
Too bad he couldn't show up. You could call him.
Anyways, just share the story. He shows up, that's cool.
Yeah.
If not, that's cool too.
I call him my handsomest Maximus. And he's like, I don't know what it is with animals, but he's like meditative for me. He's
meditative?
Yeah.
Medicinal?
Well,
meditative's not the word you're looking for.
Maybe not. But he soothes me.
Stress reliever.
He's a stress reliever. He comforts me, and I call him my little cuddle bug. Well, we had an interesting year, to say the least, right?
You don't have to go into all of it.
I'm not going to. We had a very interesting year, and Father put us through some things that weren't so comfortable. But then we ended up moving, and what happened was it was in the transitional part of that our animals also had to move with us.
And they got a shock to their system.
A major shock to their system. And so we went on a trip, which everybody should be familiar with that watches this, called Sukkot.
Feast of Tabernacles.
And they only had a couple days to be acclimated, the animals, to the new location before we went on our camping trip. And we didn't take the cats with us, we just took our dog. And it was while we were gone, we found out that Maximus ran off, and that really tore my heart up. So what I did was I cried and I prayed, and I just really sought the Father when we got back from our trip. And I said, please bring him back, Abba, please bring him back. I'm searching for him. I'm putting flyers out everywhere. I'm putting posts up online, and I'm doing my due diligence.
Let me just say, she went all in.
I went all in. When I want to fight for something, I fight for it. And I was fighting to find my kitty. And so after no signs, no nothing, not hearing anything whatsoever, I just gave it to the Father. I said, Abba, you know where he is. You know what has happened to him. You know what's best. I don't know. Maybe it was his time to be with you.
And we both thought that where we're staying at, there's a lot of woods. You can see a little bit behind us. There's a lot of woods. You hear coyotes every night. So we both thought the coyotes just ended his stay here on Earth.
And so I just figured, well, there's a lot of pain in this world. What better place for him to be than with the Creator? Even though my heart's hurting for him, what better place for him to be than in the comfort of our Maker? And so I just had accepted that that's what it was, and
you let go?
And I did. I let go. I let go of the possibility of him even coming back, and I had peace about it. Well, then I get a call about 9:30 at night, and this is about a week ago.
Ish.
Yeah, it was about a week ago. I get a call about 9:30 at night, and a woman said, I got online, I think this is your cat, come and get him. So I saw the picture, and sure enough, I go over there, and that's my handsomest Maximus, and of course I broke down. I just couldn't believe it, and he was literally gone for right at exactly a month. 30 days. 30 days he was gone. Skin and bones. He looked like he had just been famished in the wilderness. And he was. I don't know what happened to him, but he was skin and bones, and so we've been bulking him up.
He was already skinny before he lost him.
Yeah, he was. He was already
He didn't need to lose any weight. His brother needs to, but...
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's another story.
Yeah. So we let go. So that's the moral of this story. We need to let go of the things we hold on to in this world, whether it's the animals we hold dear, or
whether it's sin, whether it's demonic strongholds, whether it's addictions, fear. That's a tough one to let go of in certain situations or circumstances.
Don't hold on to the physical things that are in your life because they're fleeting. They're going away. It will not be no more.
Ask Abba to teach you how to trust him and let go. And something that was interesting I thought about, I guess Abba placed in my mind, when Candace was sharing a story, is she put all this effort in offline. She put a post up on Facebook, and that's how we end up getting the cat back. So she did all this stuff. That was online. She did all this stuff offline. She went to, knocked on I don't know how many doors. She probably can't even count. She put tons of flyers out, and he rolls up to somebody's yard or front door or whatever, and she saw a Facebook post, not a flyer.
I even put a flyer in that woman's mailbox weeks ago.
Maybe she saw the flyer, maybe she didn't, but the point is, all this effort she put out there that she did, there was no fruit from that, but she put one little post up on Facebook.
I didn't put one little post up.
But the lady saw one post.
Yeah.
She didn't see all of them.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have a desire in our heart that we want to do. I've been guilty of this many times. We have a desire that we want to do, something we want to accomplish. We put all this effort in, and Abba doesn't bless it.
I think part of it was the process, though. Like, I recognized it was by my hand, Yod, that I was putting forth all of this effort. But it also helped me mentally to let go, because I knew my personality is, if I don't give it my all, if I don't do everything I possibly can inside of me, then I don't have peace of mind. I don't have shalom, knowing that I did everything I could. And it was in the process of me doing everything that I could that Yahweh delivered him back to us. And this is a beautiful testimony.
Very cool story.
Yeah, very cool story.
Remember, in your day-to-day life, especially in your spiritual walk with Abba, great things happen when you let go. Great things happen when you trust him. Whatever you're going through in your life right now, and everybody's going through something because of COVID.
Yeah.
January 1st, 2020, and before that is gone forever. If you haven't let go of that formal life, that's one thing you need to let go of and accept that we're in a different world, and we need to approach things differently spiritually, differently mentally, your heart and everything.
Yeah.
But if you have other things in your life, just ask Abba to help you let them go. So I hope this teaching and these scriptures and this story was a blessing. So I just had the idea of doing this, and maybe in the future, if I can think of, I'm going to start a playlist and call it Life Lessons or something like that. And so we can tie in everyday lessons or circumstances, situations that happen in the scripture. And because people relate to stories. The best storyteller that ever lived was Yahshua Messiah. His parables are amazing. He was a great storyteller. So I'm going to try to incorporate some of that as well into the YouTube video. So I hope this was a blessing. Go out there and whatever you need to let go of, let it go. Shalom and Yah bless.
Bye.